update video for, this would be an update video for,
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
This is piss4400's think tank / update, and I want to talk about a few things here. First off, it's a great thing that George Garrett has been false flagging any videos or channels, and so that's why I took the liberty of closing down the Gorgeous George Project channel, so I can, in the first place, wanted to have my videos put on the piss4400 channel as opposed to having on a different account, which was something I never really wanted in the first place. And the only reason why I had a separate account only for Gorgeous George videos was because this guy would false flag channels in a way that it would affect everything else that I would do. And that's why. And some of you know that when YouTube false flags your videos, it affects your whole account, and it kind of affects everything you do. Even sometimes you could be terminated where you can't restore your videos, or terminated where that your email address is not even allowed to have a Google account, which we all know to have YouTube account, not Google. What I'm trying to say is, like, they'll sometimes YouTube even ban you where that your particular Google email address will not be allowed to have any more new YouTube accounts or open one sometimes. That's what I'm saying. All this stuff had happened to me. It never happened on the main email address, which was my emails, but it happened on the Gorgeous George Project channel with a different email address and other addresses in the past. Not this one. This one I closed on my own because if this guy is really not actively flagging videos, then there's no point in me having a separate channel because of some idiot who false flags videos. Now, not to say that I'm gonna be that stupid and naive where I'm gonna rely all my videos on the one channel. If this guy decides to come back again, I shall have another account ready and set. And if I have to do the Gorgeous George project to keep him from false flagging my main channel, then that's what I'll have to do. Simple as that. So, but, I have to comment about this recently. Who had an effect on George in a way that he just stopped false flagging videos? That he lost that pride of doing that. And I think the person that's responsible for this person not being able to do that shit no more, or stopped for a little while, is happened to be Sean Brennan. That's my opinion. I say Sean Brennan because the only reason why is because everything that George ever react to as far as tirade, everything that George ever did was always towards Sean Brennan. If you count how many tirade videos he made, with the exception of a few, you will find Sean Brennan almost the whole time. He mentions him in several videos. Like, he did a video supposed to be about me, but the whole time he mentioned him. Another video about me, when he mentioned him mostly at the same time, he would switch gears. This guy had more effect on George than any person on the internet, on YouTube, even in Richmond, Virginia. Let's go outside the internet. He even had more effect than people outside the internet. Because this guy really got into George's skin so good, it is like a rash that you couldn't get off, a permanent rash, if at best. And this guy, in one way, is as a result of the way George is not false flagging videos, he's one way the savior of free speech as far as opinions about Gorgeous George or the Gorgeous George show. He's the savior of free speech regarding that. That wasn't really his intention. His intention was trolling George for the lows. His intention was to get on George's nerves for the lows and all that shit. But in the end, the way the chemistry of everything gone and went, it ended up being him as the savior, and mostly probably maybe the ultimate reason why that George hasn't false flagged any videos. I mean, I've never seen a simpleton like Sean Brennan. When I mean simpleton, he doesn't seem that much different than any other person as far as to commentate that had this much effect on a person such as George Garrett, who is used to doing stuff like false flagging videos, who is used to doing shit like that for years. A lot of people, even people before me, had made videos, same kind of rants that I made about George, same kind of shit that I talk. All the videos I've done ain't no more difference to, or ain't that far off to the videos that Harmon done. Ain't that far off to some of the videos that some of the goons have done. And out of all of us, including myself, this guy had affected George the most. This guy had affected George Garrett the most. And I think subconsciously he doesn't really realize it. Because really his focus on I'm in it for the lows, I'm in it for fun. But I don't think Sean Brennan realized the effect that he had on George. That is why he stopped false flagging videos for a little while, hopefully forever, far as I know. What if it's no? What if it's not forever or forever? I'm gonna remove all my videos that I had on the Gorgeous George project onto the piss4400 channel, which I originally wanted in the first place. Because when I say Gorgeous George project, and I'm speaking for myself and myself alone, and when I say Gorgeous George project, I'm not speaking on behalf of the goons. I'm speaking in terms of my own reasons of being in the Gorgeous George mess. Now, when I'm speaking of Sean Brennan as being the savior of free speech, as being the savior of the goon um, troop, I am speaking for everybody because look at the change that is around us. It has never been like this before. Now, it wasn't because of me. It wasn't because of any of these other people, but Sean Brennan. This guy not only destroyed the pride of George Alexander Garrett, but he had dominated him hardcore, inside and out. He had completely bashed him hardcore, destroyed his pride where George can't even put a radio show or any of his new shows that nobody knows about but him. Now, isn't that sad that one man had this much effect? And the weird part about it was Sean Brennan wasn't even in it to win. He was in it just out of his own personal self eccentricities in his being. But the fact that George Alexander Garrett kind of surrendered to him or was so sort of like defeated by Sean is astounding. And I think that if you look at why George Garrett is not false flagging videos, is because, or not active on YouTube or whatever, it's because of Sean Brennan. Sean Brennan pretty much is, I wouldn't say his match, but it's completely the opposite in a way that George doesn't like. And part of what George Garrett is known to do is to silence anyone that had a different opinion other than him. And that's what he's better known as. And, you know, because of the persistence of Sean Brennan, and he wasn't even in this to win. Like some goons were in it to win, like myself, for instance. And I'm learning a valuable lesson from the experience of observing Sean Brennan, which I'm going to talk about on my own in another video. But getting back to the fact that the reconciliation, I think all that goes to Sean Brennan. I mean, obviously, without realizing it, this was his battle. Gorgeous George was his battle and his battle alone. And we were all observers of the battle. So that's all I partake of this whole thing and my theory. I'm piss4400. Thank you for watching. And I'll see y'all the goddamn motherfucking later.